Hey, welcome back everybody. On this episode, we're going to be covering the elemental system, or pentagram system, which was introduced in later versions of this game. The elemental system is very important because there are lots of different types of perks that you can obtain through creating a variety of errtels, and also using a variety of pentagrams. We'll try to cover some basics here, although there are many different ways to discuss the elemental and pentagram system. For the sake of this video, we're going to stick to the basics and show you how important it is to create one, and also how easy it can be. So first, this all starts with obtaining a pentagram. Pentagrams will look something similar to this. Now this is a high-end pentagram, or what we would call a rare pentagram, or Lemuria's Orb, which typically is obtained from either bosses or slightly more challenging activities. However, you can find a multitude of pentagrams just by simply farming on elemental maps. So for example, if you were on Acheron, you might find a pentagram called a Hero's Elixir, or something to that effect. Now a pentagram will have up to 5 slots. We'll get into the 5th one later, but you will have a slot of Anger, Blessing, Integrity, Divinity, and Radiance. Radiance is the endgame slot, and typically has some of the most prestigious perks that you can install or equip into a pentagram. Again, we're going to stick to the basics here. So after you've acquired a pentagram, again, depending on the server, you can get them from maps, you can get them from activities. On this one, there's plenty of ways to get them, including farming it just from the map, perhaps going to Moss Gambler, doing invasions. I mean, this server just has plenty of ways to get it. But once you have a pentagram, it's important to invest in it so that way you turn it into something very useful. And the way to make it useful is going to be through errtels. Now, errtels begin off as mithril fragments. In order to, before you can even get to an errtel, you need to start collecting mithril fragments. Now, mithril fragments are typically found on all elemental maps. So once you start moving into Acheron, which is this map, and start going into some of the connecting islands, such as Nars, Uruk, what have you, the monsters there will begin to drop mithril fragments. And mithril fragments are available in 5 different elements. So you can have fire, water, wind, darkness, and so on. Once you've collected 5 mithril fragments, they will automatically convert into something called a mithril. So just to show you how that works, we have 2 mithril fragments here, 3 over here. If I combine them manually, I will have a mithril. Now, once you have the mithril, you are going to go to an NPC called Adnil, A-D-N-I-L. She is located in Acheron. I'll just walk there, but I'll stamp the coordinates as well. So you kind of go across this little mystical bridge or pillars, what have you, and there she is, Adnil, on over here. Now when you open this NPC, there are so many different things to do, and again, we will try to cover all of them here. But the first thing we're going to do is try to create an errtel. Creating an errtel requires a mithril, which we just created from gathering 5 mithril fragments, and a single Jewel of Bless. Now, it is not 100% guaranteed that you will create an errtel. Likely, it just depends on the server, but most servers have a success rate of 50%. So if you have a mithril, a Jewel of Bless, you can then combine that with some Zen and potentially produce an errtel. On this server, you can craft all errtels through Adnil, this NPC. Typically on servers, in order to craft an Errtel of Radiance, you need to obtain them from somewhere else. You can't really craft them. On this server, there's a 5% chance to craft it by just making normal Errtels. Again, Errtel of Radiance is very rare, so the 5% chance is understandable. So let's go ahead and start crafting. So we have our Mithril, our Bless. Let's combine and see if we get lucky. We failed. That's not an issue. This is 50-50. Yep, we are having some bad luck here. Let's see what we get. Hey, and we have a successful Errtel. So we happen to get an Errtel of Blessing, which is rank 1 and has the rank 1 option, which increases our elemental defense by 10. Let's try to create some more Errtels. Let's see what we can come up with. Another failure. Oh, geez, we are striking out today. We got a success. This time we have an Errtel of Divinity. We got another fail. My luck is just really bad right now, but we got a success. So we have crafted an Errtel of Anger, an Errtel of Divinity, and Errtel of Blessing. Again, remember there are 5 different Errtels. You can craft them all on this server. Now, Errtels can be leveled up, and they can also be ranked up. So in order to level up an Errtel, you're just going to go to the Adneal NPC, and when you speak to her, there's an option specifically for Errtel level up. Now, you can level an Errtel up to 10 on each rank. Now, when you create an Errtel, you are going to be on rank 1. So to level this Errtel, you will go to Errtel level up rank 1. Now, to level an Errtel, you will require a resource called Elemental Runes. Elemental Runes can be obtained from hunting monsters on almost any elemental map. On this server, it's every single elemental map. You can find them. If for whatever reason you're also running out, on this server there's an NPC called Jin, which is right outside of Adneal, who sells them for Zen. If you have farming alts, it's really convenient just to purchase the elemental runes, because you will, again, if you have my luck, you'll probably need lots, but if you get lucky, you'll do good. So let's level up an Errtel. Let's just see what happens. Now, the success rate will ultimately depend on the server. On this particular server, there is a 90% success rate from level 1 through 9, level 1 through 7 on any rank. That means you could be on rank 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and as long as you're leveling between level 1 and 7, you will have a 90% success rate. But you still, and again, it just depends on the Errtel that you're building, which we'll get to later. You may not want to take that 10% gamble. And in order to prevent that from happening, in order to ensure that you will always level up your Errtel, you can install or use something called an Elemental Talisman of Luck. An Elemental Talisman of Luck will likely need to be obtained from an X shop, the in-game shop, Moss, or perhaps some activities. But when you use this, it will increase your chance of creating an Errtel by 10%. So on this server, by using an ETOL, or Elemental Talisman of Luck, we are guaranteeing that our Errtel will level up and will not disappear. That is the biggest downside to Errtels. If you level them up and it fails, well, you are out of an Errtel. So for the sake of this demonstration, since we have some, we're just going to use some Elemental Talisman of Luck. And let's begin leveling. Combine, we have a success, rank 1. Level 1. And now you'll notice we have increased elemental defense from 10 to 13. Let's continue. Uh-oh. Don't make this mistake. I forgot to put the Elemental Talisman of Luck inside. So as you can see, I hit the 10% lottery and failed. My luck is pretty bad here. Let's try the next one. Again, this time we're going to put the Elemental Talisman of Luck in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess it would help if I move the window over. 5, 6, and this should bring us to 7. Perfect. So now we have successfully created a level 7, a rank 1 level 7 Errtel. Now, each rank will offer you a different perk. The perks, I will need to maybe link something in the description below because there are so many different perks for me to speak to on this video, and that'll just make the video boring. So I'll paste a chart down below. I'll link you to it, and that way you can take a look at all of the different combinations depending on the type of Errtel. But each rank again will give you a special perk, whether it's defense, whether it's PvP damage, maybe it's PvE elemental damage, and so on. In order to rank up an Errtel from level rank 1 to rank 2, you will need 2 Errtels at level 7 rank 1. So let me repeat that. In order to rank an Errtel from level 1 to rank 2, you will need 2 rank 1 level 7 Errtels. That is the only way to have a rank up. Now, when you rank an Errtel, when you rank up an Errtel, it is 100% success rate. You do not need to have any sort of elemental talisman of luck, what have you. Nope. If you have 2 identical Errtels, meaning of divinity or integrity or blessing, what have you, as long as they are rank 1 level 7, as you can see over here, it says rank 1 Errtel, rank option +7, which indicates level 7, and I had 2 of these, I could combine them and make it a rank 2 Errtel. Now, right now it says undesignated option, which makes sense, I haven't combined it, but using the list linked in the description below, you'll be able to see all the different combinations that you can get for a divinity Errtel, blessing, anger, and so on. Now, if you're understanding the pattern, in order to get to rank 3, you will need 2 rank 2 level 7 Errtels. And that pattern continues. For rank 3, you'll need 2 rank 3 level 7 Errtels. But we won't go into that here for the sake of demonstration. So, once you have the Errtels, and again, please use the chart in the description below to determine what Errtels you wish to go for, you then will want to socket them. To socket them is very easy once you have an Errtel. You just right-click on your pentagram. Oh, this is the empty one. You just right-click on your pentagram, and each one can only hold a single type of Errtel, and typically you can make out what the Errtel is by the engraving inside. But this one is a divinity Errtel, so I'm going to put it in the divinity slot. And it'll ask you, would you like to socket it? Yes. Perfect. Then we have this nifty Errtel here, Errtel of Anger. We'll socket this one as well, just for the sake of demonstration. So now I have a pentagram with 2 Errtels, and it looks a little something like this. You want to do this for every single slot. Now, most pentagrams will only come with, not only, but they will come with up to 4 slots. So typically, rare pentagrams, or all pentagrams I should say, will not have the Radiance slot built in. In order to unlock the Radiance slot on your pentagram, you will need to collect something called Fragment of Radiance slot items. There are 4 different slots, and when you have all 4 pieces, they will combine into an expansion slot of Radiance. You can use this item on any pentagram. I would recommend that you would save this item for rare pentagrams, such as Lemuria's Orb, or Bloodstring Lyra, which is another rare pentagram. You could use it for that, and that's where I would use an item like this. Another thing that we can talk about is, let's just say, you're using this pentagram, but maybe you have a different one or you have a better one, and you want to make sure that your errtels, you don't want to necessarily recreate your errtels. Maybe you just want to remove them from this item or this pentagram and move them into another pentagram. Well, it's a very easy way to do that. You can gamble and simply right-click, shift right-click. I'm sorry, is it alt right-click? Alt-click to remove the pentagram, and if you do it normal, there is a chance that it may disappear. Or you can purchase something from the in-game shop. On this server, you can obtain it for free, or you could pay for it using, dollars. You can purchase something called a Blessing of Spirit. So a Blessing of Spirit will eliminate the chance of your errtel being deleted when you remove it from a socket. So this becomes really critical when you have a really, really good pentagram. So this is a pentagram I made earlier. This one is a rank 3, level 7 across all errtels. So as you can imagine, it's a lot of time and a lot of energy invested into creating these errtels. If I wanted to move the Errtel of Radiance from one pentagram to another, I am most definitely going to purchase one of these Blessing of Spirits, either through Goblin points, again on this server, or W coins. So that way I can guarantee my Errtel will not be deleted. So let's try it. I'm going to remove the Errtel of Radiance. So again, I'm going to press the Alt key on my keyboard and then left click. I'm going to then say safely unequip Errtel by using Blessing of Spirit, and boom. I have successfully removed my Errtel of Radiance, and I can now resocket this anywhere else. But we're going to put it right back in here. Now you'll notice on this pentagram, and this is a little bit more advanced, we won't go into a deep dive on this, but once you have all of the sockets completed, you'll notice that you also get some other additional benefits from having this pentagram. Again, this is a rare pentagram, but you have pentagram damage and defense increased by 5%. When you have rank 2 errtels, you get 10% defense. When you have rank 3 errtels, you have an additional defense value of 30. So it's important to build these errtels, build these pentagrams, and use them, especially right around the time that you hit level 600, 650 to 800. You really want to start investing into the pentagram system. Although it makes a big impact in PvE, it also makes a huge impact in PvP, because there are errtels that are specifically designed for PvP. And trust me, it will make a huge difference as you are dueling people or fighting people around the world of Mu. So let's recap a little bit. Pentagrams can be found from elemental maps in most servers, or you could find them on this server in activities, invasions, bosses. You can find them anywhere. Errtels are all created by farming something called a mithril fragment, which can be obtained from any elemental map. If you combine 5 of them, you will then create something called a mithril, You will then take your mithril to Adneal in Acheron, and you will create an Errtel by selecting this Errtel creation, putting your mithril in the slot, and there's a 50% chance to combine it when you use a Jewel of Bless. Let's see, will I get lucky? Likely not. Nope. Anyway, once you create the Errtel, you will then want to rank it up. You will need to level it up. Level it up to +7, because that is the minimum level that you need in order to rank up an Errtel. Please note that you do want to use an elemental talisman of luck as you're leveling to ensure that you have a 100% success rate from level 1 through 7. In order to rank the Errtel up from rank 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, you will need 2 identical Errtels, meaning they have to be Divinity, or they have to be Anger, or they have to be Blessing, so on. It doesn't matter what the option is, they just need to be within the same family. You need to have 2 Errtels within the same family that are the same rank and level 7. When you combine those two Errtels from the same family that are same rank, level 7, you will then be able to move into the next rank, and then you will also obtain a random rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, and so on and so forth option to your Errtel. Once you have the Errtel that you want and the rank that you want, you will then simply right-click, or excuse me, shift. Is it shift or alt? I keep forgetting. Shift. Sorry, forgive me. That was alt right-click on the pentagram, and then you will socket your Errtels by fitting them into their necessary slots. And to unsocket an Errtel, you would just simply alt-click it, but make sure if you have an Errtel that you wish to keep and you spent a lot of time, effort, and energy on, purchase a Blessing of Spirit from the X shop so that way you can remove it safely without losing it. And I think that's about it for this demonstration. So the Errtel system is not that complicated, but it is important to invest, because the players that will invest in the system will likely have a significant advantage over the players that do not. And it will especially help you survive on PvE elemental maps, and it will most certainly help you gain an advantage on PvP. The last important note here, and I will try to put this in the description below, is the difference in damage versus elements. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are 5 different elements. And just like in the real world, certain elements will have a significant advantage over other elements. So the example that I will say on this video is, hypothetically, let's say you have, or in this case I have an element, pentagram with a fire element on it. But I am facing a monster that has a water element. Well, as you can imagine, fire typically does not out damage or outdo a water element. Typically, water extinguishes fire. So naturally, if you have a element of fire and you're fighting against an element of water, your elemental damage will be significantly decreased because the water overpowers fire. So these types of nuances exist within the pentagram system, and it's important to adapt. It's important to adapt. It's important to create multiple pentagrams that you can swap in and out. So that way you have a variety, and you can use them to your advantage, especially in PvP. Because remember, other players will have maybe all different elements. It's always good to be strategic about these things. So again, thank you so much for listening to this long-winded video. Certainly not the cleanest video, but I hope this gives you a basic understanding of how pentagrams work, the elemental system works, and how you could take advantage of it. And again, please check the description box below to see a full chart of all of the different types of perks that you can get from an Errtel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.